Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today, I'm bringing you the latest developments in the turbulent story of single mother Ly Hoai Ca and police officer Hung. As in the previous episode, Tony, the well-behaved but unlucky little boy, was rushed to the hospital with a serious illness. Hoai Ca and Hung raced against time to get him admitted, clinging to the hope of a miracle. 3 long, suffocating days passed in anxious waiting. And now, the final test results are finally in her hands. Will they bring joy, or a nightmare they never wished to face? But that's not all. Another twist, like a bolt from the blue, suddenly strikes. Tieu San, Hung's younger sister, receives shocking news that could change the way she sees herself and her brother forever. The truth about Hung and Tieu San's origins, hidden for so many years, is about to be revealed. The secret pieces of the past begin to fall into place, exposing things no one has ever known. All will be unveiled in today's episode, where the hospital halls, muffled sobs, and a shattering family revelation converge into a storm of emotions. Stay tuned and don't miss a single detail, because every moment carries answers to questions that have lingered for so long. At last, after 3 endless days of waiting, the hospital finally returns Tony's test results. Holding the paper in her hands, Hoai Ca's heart races. She takes a deep breath, slowly opens the pages, and then, her eyes brim with tears. It feels as though a heavy stone has been lifted from her chest. Tony is completely healthy, no dangerous illness at all. The doctor explains that it was only a viral fever, which caused his exhaustion and prolonged high temperature, but it can be treated at home. Still, they advise Hoai Ca to bring him back for a follow-up check in 6 months to ensure his health. Joy floods the room. Hoai Ca hugs her son tightly, her trembling hands brushing his hair, feeling his warmth and steady breathing. The pressure and fear of the past few days melt away, replaced by relief and happiness. Mrs. Ha is just as delighted, her eyes sparkling with joy. She clasps Hoai Ca's hand, reassuring her that she will gladly take care of Tony so Hoai Ca can return to work and stabilize her life. In their small room, laughter mingles with happy tears, like a warm melody dispersing the dark clouds that had loomed overhead. The road ahead may still hold many challenges, but for now, Hoai Ca's heart has found its peaceful rhythm once again. Since Hoai Ca returned to Hung's side, the man who had once quietly loved her, decided to leave home and find work elsewhere. He understood that staying would only deepen his own heartache, so he chose to go, both to avoid Hoai Ca's gaze and to give himself space to think and calm his emotions. The days spent working far from home taught him to accept reality and let go of impossible hopes. Months later, Ha came back. In his hands was a small but meaningful gift, a warm knitted hat for Tony, a simple yet elegant outfit for Hoai Ca, and a sturdy pair of shoes for his mother. His mother received them with a radiant smile, her eyes full of pride. She knew her son had grown, learning to care for and think of others before himself. Deep inside, she understood that part of this change came from Hoai Ca. It was her gentleness and steadfastness that had taught Ha to live with responsibility, to place another's happiness above his own. That day, the house felt warmer than ever. No words were needed, only the exchange of smiles and glances was enough to fill their hearts with warmth. As for Hung, the past few days have felt like an unending storm, battering him without a moment's peace. He had emptied everything he owned, selling off possessions, parcels of land, scraping together every bit of savings from years of hard work, yet it still wasn't enough. In the end, he had to grit his teeth and borrow from everyone he could, friends, colleagues, even those he rarely dared to ask for help. His only goal was to pay off his mother's enormous debt and somehow redeem their old family home, the place that held the warmest memories of his and Tieu San's childhood, the only true shelter the two of them had ever known. But life doesn't always grant a second chance. That debt, swollen by compound interest, had grown beyond the reach of any person. Each time he looked at the repayment sheet, the numbers were like cold steel hooks digging into his chest, dragging him toward a bottomless pit. The interest kept climbing, repayment deadlines came like relentless waves, crushing every effort he made. Every night, Hung lay on his old bed, eyes wide open, staring into the darkness on the ceiling. He remembered walking through the gate of their old house, each brick in the yard, the familiar smell of wood smoke from the kitchen. Now it all belonged to someone else. That helplessness was a blade cutting deep, leaving him drained both in body and spirit. And today, he decided he would no longer run from it. He knew it was time to face the truth. Hung wanted to meet Tieu San, not just to tell her the bitter reality that they would never be able to reclaim the house, that all their years of struggle had reached the limit. More importantly, he would reveal a secret he had kept buried for years, a truth about their mother, and about their very origins. It was not a story easily told, because once that truth left his lips, there would be no way back. It would forever change how Tieu San saw her family, her brother, and perhaps even herself. But Hung understood that the longer he kept it hidden, the deeper the fracture between them would grow. Today, the door to the past would have to open, whether what lay beyond was light or darkness. As Hung reached the gate of Tieu San's house, the scene before him made him stop in his tracks. Tieu San and her ex-husband stood face to face, their voices taut like stretched strings. Words flew back and forth in rapid succession, the air thick with anger and frustration. Tieu San's eyes were red, while her ex-husband's expression was tense, his fists clenched tightly. Hung quickly stepped forward, trying to calm them both. His voice was steady yet firm, each word carefully measured to cool the flames that were threatening to flare. After a while, Tieu San's ex-husband's tone softened. He let out a quiet sigh. He turned to Hung with a nod, then looked back at Tieu San. "I'll come to pick up the child another day," he said, before walking away, leaving the yard in silence, with only the two siblings facing each other. Once the door closed, Hung and Tieu San finally sat down. There was no more arguing, but the silence between them felt heavier. Tieu San looked straight into her brother's eyes, those deep, shadowed eyes that seemed to guard something hidden. She had lived long enough to sense that Hung had brought something very serious with him today. "Brother," Tieu San said softly, her voice calm but resolute, "I'm grown now, I'm an adult. Just tell me the truth. Whatever it is, I can handle it." Those words were like a key, unlocking the door of silence Hung had kept shut for so long. And in that moment, he knew it was time for the truth, however cruel, to be spoken. Hung drew in a long, steady breath, his gaze darkening as if gathering every ounce of courage to say what he had kept buried for so long. His voice was low and hoarse, each word weighted with heaviness. "San, I have to tell you everything. Mother, she's in debt everywhere, borrowing so much she even sold our house to pay it off. I sold everything I owned, scraped together every coin, even borrowed from others to help her, but the debt is still there, so large I can't carry it anymore. The house, we've lost it. There's no way to get it back." Tieu San sat in silence, her hands tightening into fists, but Hung didn't stop. He locked eyes with his sister, as if to make sure she was strong enough to hear the rest. "There's something else, something harder to say." He swallowed. "Mother once hired someone to hurt Hoai Ca. Not just threaten her, but hired thugs to beat her and throw her into the river. If it hadn't been for Ha, a fisherman, who happened to save her, Hoai Ca might have. Hung let the sentence hang, unable to say the word die. The air in the room seemed to collapse in on itself. Tieu San's eyes widened, her lips trembling. She had always known their mother was controlling, the kind of woman who forced her children to live according to her will. But she had never imagined the woman who gave her life could also be so cruel. It felt as though a warm, cherished image of her mother had just been torn apart, exposing a shadowy void she had never seen before. "No, that's impossible," she whispered. But in Hung's eyes, she saw no trace of a lie. The icy shock seeped into her veins, numbing her from head to toe. Hung stayed silent for a long time, as if weighing each word. His eyes lowered, then rose to meet Tieu San's again, so deep and unflinching that her heart seemed to sink. Finally, his voice came, low and rough, each word slicing through the still air. "San, there's one more thing. Something that might change everything you've ever believed about our family." Tieu San's brows knit together, her hands tightening on her lap. Hung drew in a deep breath before speaking plainly. "The woman we've been calling mother all these years, she's not our biological mother." The sentence hit like a lightning strike, shattering a quiet sky. Tieu San froze, her lips parting soundlessly. Hung went on, his tone slow but steady, as though afraid she couldn't take it in all at once. "Our real mother left when you were only a few months old. After that, Father married her, the woman we've always called Mother. She could never have children of her own, so when she married Father, she took us in as if we were hers. In the beginning, she truly did love and care for us. But," Hung's voice tightened, "she has a deep, possessive streak. And over time, everything changed. Now, she's emptied out everything we had, left me with a massive debt, and run away to avoid the consequences." Tieu San sat motionless. Every memory of that mother, the embraces, the lessons, even the strict scoldings, suddenly felt fragile, like shards of glass slipping through her fingers. "I know," Hung said, his voice dropping. "As children, we're taught to be filial. But I can't let you keep living with only half the truth. You have the right to know it all, no matter how much it hurts." Tieu San blinked rapidly, holding back the tears threatening to spill. It felt as if her entire world had been turned upside down, and the deepest wound wasn't the lost home or crushing debt, but the realization that the person she had trusted completely had never been her mother at all. Hung placed his hand on Tieu San's shoulder, giving it a gentle squeeze as if to pass her some strength. His eyes, though weary, still held a steady resolve. "San, I know this is more than anyone should have to bear, but I hope the two of us can get through it together. Even if we lose the house, the money, or our trust in people, I still want us to have each other." Tieu San looked at him quietly, her eyes brimming with tears. Hung went on, his voice low but firm. "If one day, our real mother comes back looking for us, I hope you can understand, and if you can, forgive her. Everyone has their reasons for leaving. And as for our stepmother, I don't want you to feel any guilt. Because the truth is, we did everything we could to be good to her. We both tried our very best." In that moment, Tieu San gave a small nod, an unspoken promise. Amid all the wreckage, at least they still had the one unshakable anchor left, the bond of blood and a love no one could replace. ChatGPT said, "So, will Hung and Tieu San be able to trace the whereabouts of the biological mother who vanished so long ago? And Hoai Ca, after everything she has endured, will she truly find peace again, returning to that small house to continue her happy days with Hung?" Everything still lies ahead, and the answers will be revealed in the episodes to come. Don't miss it, because every detail will be a crucial piece in the puzzle of their fate.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Hôm nay mình tiếp tục đưa đến với mọi người video về câu chuyện tình yêu của mẹ đơn thân Ly Hoai Ca và cảnh sát Hùng. Như mọi người cũng biết thì ở trong những tập trước, Hùng và Ca thì đã cùng trải qua rất là nhiều khó khăn thì họ mới có đến một cái quyết định là tiếp tục bên nhau. Tuy nhiên thì Tony, con của Hoài Ca, lại phát hiện ra là mắc bệnh, thì cũng phải mất một thời gian để các bác sĩ kiểm tra và đưa ra kết luận. Thì bây giờ chúng ta cũng đã biết là Tony rất may mắn thì chỉ bị bệnh nhẹ thôi, không có bị bệnh nguy hiểm. Tuy nhiên một thử thách mới lại đến với Hùng và Tiểu San. Tiểu San là em gái của Hùng. Thì thân thế của hai người đang là một bí ẩn, khi một sự thật mới được phơi bày. Người mẹ mà Tiểu San và Hùng gọi bấy lâu nay thực ra lại không là mẹ ruột, mà chỉ là một người mẹ kế. Vậy thì mẹ ruột của Hùng và Tiểu San là ai? Và những gì tiếp theo còn diễn ra, còn kịch tính như thế nào nữa thì mình mời mọi người tiếp tục xem ở những video sau vào ngày mai nha mọi người.